Alright, Logic fans, welcome to our fourth and final video on section 5.3. So this is video 5.3D, and what we're going to do is we're going to sort of finish off our study of relation tableau by looking at this example here, and I've got a few points I want to make about it, and we've got plenty of time now to discuss it. So again, with two objects, try to provide an interpretation, a relation tableau interpretation, okay, that makes this sentence true, and again with two objects, one that makes it false. Pause now. Okay, so the way to begin is to start by trying to understand the sentence. So one way of thinking about the sentence is to say, okay, this says for everything, it's not the case that it bears R to at least one thing. Okay, so for everything, both A and B are such that they bear R to nothing. So another way of thinking about it, if you remember how to work with the quantifiers and negations from chapter 4, right, is you can kind of sort of help yourself out by translating this a little bit. You could translate this sentence this way, and again, we will go over this kind of technique. It's called quantifier negation in chapter 6. There's a whole section dedicated to that. So if you want to bone up on that for these purposes, you're free to do that. But this says everything is such that it does not bear R to everything. So A doesn't bear R to everything, and B doesn't bear R to everything. Okay, so with that sort of hint, a interpretation that makes it true, right, is going to be one that makes all of these minuses, right? So everything, both A and B. So A doesn't bear R to everything, doesn't bear it to itself, doesn't bear it to B, and B is such that it doesn't bear R to everything. So it doesn't bear R to A, and it doesn't bear R to B, to itself, right? Which is kind of interesting. Now, for this last case, I want to show you a little bit of a trick of the trade, okay? And this is something you can use for pretty good effect. So let's go ahead and think about this for a second. We want to make this sentence false, right? That's what we're thinking about. Okay, so if I want to make that sentence false, one way of approaching it is to say, oh, okay, I want to make this sentence true. Right? I want to make the negation of it true. So how does that help? Well, basically what that is going to allow you to do is to reduce this, again, following the techniques of chapter 4, to just this. Okay? And so what you're trying to do is make this sentence true. Right? At least one thing bears R to at least one thing. And you could have gotten to the same conclusion just by thinking about, these guys. Right? This is saying everything bears R to nothing. In other words, everything does not bear R to everything in the domain. So to make that false, you got to make it the case that at least one thing does bear R to at least one thing. So as long as you've got that, you're going to have this sentence being false. Okay? So I hope that makes some sense, and it's a really nice sort of trick of the trade. Okay? When you're trying to make a sentence false, think about trying to make the negation of that sentence true, and sometimes that can help you out. Okay, once again, I want to emphasize plenty of examples and sort of systematic tables for doing this kind of thing in the textbook, and plenty of exercises for you to practice to really make sure you've got it down. Okay, so do those practice problems, and in the next section 5.4 we will discuss identity tableau. So what if you have quantificational sentences with identity? We'll cover that next, and we'll see you there.